Welcome to a brand new episode of Lunch with Doug, a unique and fun experience brought to you by the creative minds at the Music Exerbia Project. We're here today thanks to the generous support of our esteemed sponsors. John's Barbershop, located at 121 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Open Tuesday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. Walk-in only, no appointment needed. American Legion Post number 2, located at 402 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Newly remodeled with a clean, fresh look, gaming machines, and new smoke heaters. Open to the public. Express Printing and Hydro Dipping, Nevada's #1 full-service shop. Print, signage, banners, decals, hydrographics, tinting, and headlight restoration. Located at 14138 East Highway 54, just west of Mr. D's, 417-448-6444. The Precision Coffee Company, located at 224 East Walnut in Nevada, Missouri. Coffee, organic teas, specialty coffee drinks, smoothies, and fresh baked pastries. We're your local. As promised on Lunch with Doug today with Matthew Harper. I know him. Obviously, he's my brother, but maybe some of the listeners are going to be new to Matthew. If you're around town, of course, you've seen him out doing a number of things in the area, many events all the time, many restaurants, and even some busking. Matthew, known as the American Busker. How are you today, Matthew?
I'm doing fine. Doing really good.
Well, it's great to have you on the show. I don't know if you've ever officially been on my podcast, have you?
I don't think so.
Well, this is the first. This is a great time. I'm going to ask you, I know the answers to many of these questions, but I'm going to ask you some things that I think would be interesting for our listeners. One, I know you are a songwriter, and not just a songwriter that's writes like 2 songs a year. You're a songwriter that writes probably songs every week. Tell us about some of the songs that you write and how you get some inspiration for that.
Well, most of the inspiration comes from living life, and you just hear a phrase or you get an idea in your head or you hear something or you read something. A lot of my music is inspirational and faith-based, so it comes from reading anything from, you read the Bible or you read maybe a biography or you read something it's pertaining to something, or sometimes it's just something humorous that you hear in life. I write everything from serious songs to novelty songs to flows through different genres. So a lot of times it'll just start with a phrase or a melody. Sometimes a melody comes to you and you just start jotting it down. And when inspiration strikes, sometimes it's not always at a convenient time. So you have to jot it down on paper and learn to play it later.
So now, once you get the songs, do you perform them live right away? Do you record them first? What's your process in taking this from being a something that your inspiration in writing into then getting it to the world?
Well, that just depends on the season that you're in. If it's in the season where there's a lot of gigs, a lot of times I can write a song on a Thursday night and perform it on a Saturday. Sometimes I'll record a song right away if I feel that it's something I want to get down, or sometimes I'll wait for a while, and sometimes a song will be in my arsenal for a long time and I'll play it live for months and then decide to record it,
You owned a recording studio for a while in Nevada, and then you still have recording gear that this is how you record it, or do you work with anybody else outside of your own recording process?
Primarily these days, I do not collaborate too often. It's mostly I just come up with the initial song and then I'll lay down the tracks, and I'll lay down a guitar track, maybe a vocal track, sometimes a drum track and a guitar track, and then you just overlay the bass. I write all my bass lines and all that stuff myself, so I just take the time, and that's why sometimes something will just come quickly because you already have it mapped out in your head, and then other times it takes a while. It brews. You start something, and then it may go on for a week or two, and you usually get a finished product.
And then you put those on. I know you sell CDs at your shows, so you make CDs at your shows. I know you have some other merchandise. Maybe you used to have some T-shirts. I don't know if you got anything like that anymore, but you have merchandise at the shows. You play the shows, and such as like, well, we're going to have an upcoming show this weekend. You're going to be performing at the May 3rd, first Saturday on the Square, / Music on the Square. You'll be there 11 a.m. till 2 p.m. And what can they expect from you this weekend?
Well, this weekend I plan on doing, obviously I'll be doing all original music, and it'll be things I've written probably at this point getting close to 30 years ago to clear up to current stuff. I'll probably play some fresh material that I've, that's just been written even within the last month. And I'll play, a lot of songs that people who have followed me over the years, songs that they'll recognize, and some that I consider signature songs. And then there'll be a lot of new material as well. There'll be some new storytelling. I like to tell stories in between songs and such as that. So there will be that, and interacting with the audience. I like to have banter with the crowds and stuff like that. So there'll be that type of thing. It is family friendly. So I would say at best, I'm pretty G-rated, but there might be something that might be considered a PG or something like that. But probably most of my stuff would be considered G-rated because I like to write, like I said, stories about life and family and different things like that.
You are the American busker, so explain to people kind of what that means and how your show is set up in that regard.
Well, a busker is someone who will just go and perform. It could be to passersby on a busy street. It could be, you could busker in a park, you could busker on a curb, you can busker on a sidewalk. I played the Vernon County Farmers Market here in town for years. I was featured most every week for a long period of time, Delaney Vineyard and Winery. And so I carry with me a small set. And when I say a set, I'm talking about like a set where I have certain things that I set up. In the theater, they would call it props. You have your props that kind of signify what you're doing. And so I set it up that way. There's a visual as well as the musical art form.
And you're playing your signature songs. You'll be doing the Armadillo song for sure, right? That's kind of one of your popular ones.
The Armadillo song is, it's one of it's been around for a long, long time. And it's popular with people of all ages. The kids like it, the adults like it. It's a metaphoric song about life. And I have another tune that has been in my arsenal for even longer than that, called "The Life of Rock and Roll," and it's a, I guess you might call it an allegory towards what the life of a rock musician would be. And I have a song called "The Pen and the Poet," which by some people quoted that it could be the best song I've ever written. So I don't know if that's a fact or not, but I've had people say that.
The Pen and the Poet. Tell us more about it.
Well, The Pen and the Poet was inspired by a song. It was inspired by a song by Paul Simon, but just the theme of his song. And for the life of me right now, I can't even remember the name of the song, but I heard it on a very early Paul Simon and Garfunkel record. And I liked the idea of the poet. And so the pen and the poet speaks of being, and obviously this has music to it. So it's not a poem, but it has that form and it has a certain cadence to it, and that goes along with that. So, and it's a song. It's an inspirational song. So it's meant to inspire the listener and to bring them in, and maybe you might even call it a reflective song. You can reflect upon the lyrics, and it's set to a mellow melody and a medium paced tempo in that. And so it all just kind of fell together quickly years ago, and it's just been something that I've carried with me for a long time and played at most every show I play. I usually play it. It doesn't always get put into the arsenal, but most generally it is there.
Nice. So describe your genre. Well, I haven't talked about that with you. What would you classify your genre as?
Well, I like to classify myself as being across the board, but at my live shows, most generally I play just acoustic guitar and a vocal. So you could kind of put it in the Americana kind of vibe, but it's not necessarily country. I mean, I've had people throughout the years when I play, they want to categorize you into something, and that's fine. I've had people call me bluegrass, which I'm not bluegrass, but in the traditional sense. But because I play an acoustic guitar, a lot of times people kind of put the connotation that it's country or bluegrass. But I have things that I have so much of a background with music that there's pop elements in it. I mean, one of my favorite songwriters in the modern times is Tom Petty. And if you've ever heard Tom Petty, he's not what you would classify as country, definitely. So I think that when you present the song, the vehicle that I choose to present it in is the acoustic guitar, most generally. And I do have an electric archtop guitar that I bring sometimes and play some, because I have some songs that have tinges of jazz in them, jazz elements and stuff like that. But there's usually always a vocal part and there's a melody to it. So it's not that jazz doesn't have melody, but it's not instrumental by any means. Although I have written and recorded many instrumentals over my time of doing studio work and stuff. And they're presented as a full band on the CDs. So I don't usually do a lot of the instrumental stuff live just because I don't have the full band situation. So that kind of answered your question.
It did. Genre's hard to answer sometimes when you're an artist, for sure. And I'm slowly meeting more artists as I'm talking to people that don't like genre. Genre really is just a way to, like, somewhere to put it where they're buying it in a record store, Here's this generally where this is, but I mean, like a band like Primus. I mean, what genre is Primus?
Exactly. And I think sometimes people, that artists don't like to categorize themselves because there's that element of, if I say I'm this, then people come with an expectancy that they're going to hear a certain style of music because the media and the music industry and such has pigeonholed people into saying, well, this is heavy metal or this is rock and roll or this is country. And so if you put yourself, and artists don't really want to put themselves in that box because they feel that they're presenting something that's from them. And each person, when you're doing your original compositions, you feel to yourself that you're unique. And so that's why I think we have a hard time sometimes categorizing. And also because of what you hear in your head, sometimes you're hearing, some people hear a full arrangement in their head when they're writing a song, and you have those ideas. But when you go out and you're presenting in a minimal, in a minimal application, you only have certain tools that you can use. And so therefore it may come out seemingly to be something like country or Americana, as I used that term earlier. And so that's one of the things that I see with it sometimes. So it's kind of hard for me to categorize myself because I feel like some of the tunes I've written are kind of rock and roll type songs, and some of the tunes I've written are definitely country. And sometimes I'll give the shout out, this is a country song because it sounds like a country song, so it is a country song.
I guess that's really what happens at the end of the day, right? What it sounds like is what it is, right?
Exactly. So when you present the song, the listener can sometimes take in what they're feeling and what they're taking away from it too.
Yeah, definitely. It's like Bob Dylan almost when he was live on some of his songs that were on the record. They said they're rock songs. They're definitely rock songs when they're live, but they were definitely folk songs on the record.
True. And I think as an artist, and especially, I can't speak for him. Obviously, I don't know Bob Dylan, but I've listened to him over the years and I've seen him live in concert. And I, as an artist, enjoy the fact that he alters the songs, and sometimes there's a longer jam or something that you don't hear on the record because over the years he's changed bands, so many times and stuff, and it's kind of a revolving door of guitar players and drummers and steel players and different things, and so he allows his band members to put a little of themselves into the song as well. And so there's a lot of originality when you go watch an artist like him live, as opposed to, listening to a record.
For sure. Well, I'm getting up to about 4 minutes for our time limit. So I want to propose this to you while you're here. What do you want to tell the listening audience? What do you have, on your heart, so to speak, to share with our listening audience about your music and about maybe even some other events and stuff that you've got coming up?
Well, there's, in fact, that particular day, I will be playing another gig that evening at the Boys Ranch in Nevada. And so the set list, from one gig to the next, sometimes is you change it up and you do things differently. So people don't necessarily see the same show or the same presentation of the songs the same way every time they come. And obviously to people who come to a lot of the things that I have done over the years and the things that I do, they will see something different. But I believe what I would share with anybody who wants to come out to the first Saturday event and have a listen, they will get a wholesome entertainment. It's very entertaining. I enjoy, like I said, interacting with the crowd and playing songs, and they'll hear some authentic things that have come from my heart and my being throughout the years, and it will just be an enjoyable time.
Fantastic. Now, plug your you're basically on Facebook. It's one Facebook page, and you did some performances. Do you do videos and stuff on there, or what do you got?
I do. There? I've done a few videos of some songs that I've put on there, but for the most part, I have a side project that I do that it's called Muga Music, and what I do with that is it's the home of the rescued guitars, and so I will take instruments that generally have not been so loved, and maybe it was something that somebody bought and then they didn't learn, and it sat around in the closet for a while, and I get everything refurbished. I get the instruments set up, and it's mostly guitars. I do basses sometimes, but I've even in the past I've done some mandolins and even a banjo a couple of times. I did some banjos, but I'm more savvy fixing the guitars up, and I'll do videos of those. I haven't done any for a while, and I am actually getting ready to launch my YouTube channel and start getting it out there, and it's going to be an eclectic thing. There will be original song I'm going to try to post about every week, and there'll be original song, and there will be content on there too, subject, and it will be generally based around music, but there will be some faith-based stuff on there too. Some not necessarily, I don't want to go as far as to say necessarily preaching or anything like that, but there will be definitely some faith-based stuff on there too, because a lot of my songs relate around there, and so there's a ministry involved in it as well. There's a few YouTube channels that I have followed for many years, and there's a handful of people that have inspired what I want to do mine's going to be a little different than what they do, but their YouTube programs have inspired me to do mine. So the three main channels that have inspired me, so your listeners can maybe go check them out to see what they might be in store for mine. And one of them is a singer-songwriter channel. Her name is, it used to be, she was called Reina del Cid, but she's now called El Cordova. And then there's a gentleman named Doyle Dykes who does a thing called Sunday String Along. And then there is a guy who basically, he kind of reminds me a little bit, the way that he goes about promoting music and stuff, he reminds me a lot of you. His name is Otis Gibbs. And and he's mostly just talking and content and commentary, but it's a really good program. And he does podcasts and stuff as well. And so I followed him for a long time. And so between those three channels, they've kind of inspired me to push forward with this.
That sounds great, man. That sounds great. I'm a big fan of Ella. She's amazing. I don't remember what her guitar player's name is, but I love their little duos they do. That's
the fantastic. Guitar player's name is Tony Lindgren, and she is fantastic.
Tony, that's right. Yeah, they did the Queen version, and then Brian May reached out to him about it and said it was the coolest version of their song ever. They pulled it off with two guitars, acoustic and electric. And two vocals.
They're very talented gals.
You doing something at the Boys Ranch?
Yeah, it's a fundraiser, so come out and support that. It's to raise money for the Boys Ranch, the Eagles here in town, which I am not a member of the Eagles or anything, but I've had a long-term relationship with the club out there. I've done a lot of music things, a lot of fundraisers, and worked with them on quite a few projects. And so they're trying to raise money to do some things at the Boys Ranch, and they do camp out 2 or 3 times a year. And so this coming weekend, they're going to do a camp out, and they're trying to raise membership, and they're going to have a lot of things going on. There's going to be some food trucks out there. I know there's going to be, I know there's going to be like a beer garden out there. There's going to be music. The big name they're going to have out there is the Nathan Oss Band, if you're familiar with them. They're going to be out there kind of if you want to say a headliner, and they're going to play in the latter part of the night. I'm not sure. I think they play from maybe 8 to midnight. It might be 9 to 1, but I think it's 8 to midnight. And I'm going to I do the Segway. It's the Segway supper. And it's in between when they start serving the food, and then they're getting ready to do the auction and everything. They do a silent auction and stuff out there to raise money. And I usually play from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And that's what I'm going to be doing this particular day, this coming Saturday. I want to tell you it's May 3rd, I think. I'll be playing from 4 to 6. And I usually do that in the, I may be doing it in the dining hall, but I don't think so. I think I usually do it in the big implement building where they hold all their events and everything. And so that's where I'll be from 4 to 6.
Nice. Now, if if they're listening and they have never been to the Boys Ranch, it's just outside Nevada, Missouri. Give a generalized directions how to get there.
You go west 54 to the VFW road. I'm not sure what it's going to be. One of the 100 roads, it'll be like 1200, 1300, whichever one it is, but it's west 54, like you're going towards Fort Scott. Go to the turn off to go to the VFW, and you turn right. If you're coming from Nevada, you would turn right off the highway, and you would head north, and you go north and just follow that road clear up straight until you have to either go straight or turn. And there's a sign that points Boys Ranch, and you turn back to the west and you follow it, and you won't miss it because you'll just follow that road down until you see it, and you'll see all the cars and the big shed, the big implement building and all that stuff. You'll see all of it. They have a little chapel out there, and there's a trailer house and stuff. So that's the easiest way to get there.
Well, fantastic. Fantastic. And I guess anyone can go to that.
Yes, it's open to the public. I think they're selling I think it's armbands for like the people that want to participate in the beer garden and stuff. The food trucks are a separate entity, and I'm not sure how many food trucks or who all's going to be out there. I know that they talked about maybe Fat Daddy's being out there, and I can't remember the other. There's another group that's going to be out there, which I think, I can't think of the name of it, but they've been up to the first Saturday before and did their food truck up there. So it'll be local food trucks, and we'll be out there. And then, like I said, they'll have a silent auction, and they're raising, and there'll be music pretty much on and off all day. I don't know. I think they may have some music, but I'm not sure who's doing it before me earlier in the day. And then I'll be there from 4 to 6. And then, like I said, Nathan Oss Band, I think, goes on at 8, I think.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I'll look up and see if I can find a link on there. Hopefully there's a link down in the bottom where you can find more information on that event as well as the first Saturday. Thanks again, man, for being on the show, and I'll see you Saturday, and thanks again.
All right. Well, thanks for having me on.
Well, that's going to wrap it up today. Matthew Harper here on Lunch with Doug. Once again, thanks for spending your lunchtime with me today on this episode of Lunch with Doug. We're here today thanks to the generous support of our esteemed sponsors. John's Barbershop, located at 121 West Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Open Tuesday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. till 6:30 p.m. Walk-in only, no appointment needed. American Legion Post number 2, located at 402 East Cherry Street in Nevada, Missouri. Newly remodeled with a clean, fresh look, gaming machines, and new smoke heaters. Open to the public. Express Printing and Hydro Dipping, Nevada's #1 full-service shop. Print, signage, banners, decals, hydrographics, tinting, and headlight restoration. Located at 14138 East Highway 54, just west of Mr. D's. 417-448-6444. The Precision Coffee Company, located at 224 East Walnut in Nevada, Missouri. Coffee, organic teas, specialty coffee drinks, smoothies, and fresh baked pastries. We're your local.